Hello and welcome to my latest obsession, Wintertodt, or Wintertoad. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this. So, Wintertodt is probably the easiest way to do fire making in this game. Pretty much what you do is you cut down roots, you take the roots, turn them into sticks, throw them in a fire pit, and you get a ton of fire making XP. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So, first thing you want to do to get here is you need level 50 fire making. So you're going to have to get there the hard way, which is just burning logs and cutting trees. Another requirement for this is to do the quest Druidic Rituals, so that way you can make the rejuvenation potions. Or if you don't have that quest done, you can go to Bruma and they will do it for you. And in order to get construction XP from fixing the fire pits, or what they call in the game braziers, you need to own a player-owned house, which, if you remember, you probably own one anyways. But that's pretty much all the requirements. Another optional but very highly recommended item to have is warm clothing. As you can see by my fashionable outfit here, I am wearing 4 pieces of warm clothing. I have the Pyromancer garb, which you can get from this minigame. If you don't have that, you can get the yak hide armor for both the bottom and the top. Those are warm clothing. I have a bear head, because why not? And I have my obsidian cape. On the wiki for Wintertodt, there is a huge list of warm clothing that you can get. So just look around there, see what you have. If you don't have it, buy it to GE. If you're an Iron Man, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. It is optional, but you're just going to take a ton of frost damage. So once you have the outfit and you're here, you can get here. There's many different ways to get here. You can use the games necklace and teleport directly to Wintertodt. You can use a fairy ring. There's a fairy ring down here. CIS. You can go there and go up north. You can, I guess, teleport to Corinne and walk up that way. You know, there's a ton of different ways to get here. But obviously the easiest is the game's necklace. And so it's really convenient because there's a bank right here. So you can always deposit anything that you get from the reward cart, which I will talk about later. And yeah, that's pretty much it for getting here. What you also want to do is when you want to go to the world that is for Wintertodt. So if you go to World Switcher and go to Wintertodt, which is down here. Oh, no, it's up here because my list is backwards. You want to go to the W's, the Wintertotts. I just like to go to the highest one. I get confused with the Wilderness and Wintertodt because they're so close together, and I have dyslexia, so I'm using that as an excuse. One time I went to the Wilderness server and went in there to do a game, and there was a single guy in there doing it by himself, and I was like, where is everyone? And he's like, dude, you're in the Wilderness server, not the Wintertodt server. I was like, oh shit, okay. And so I just kind of left and went to the Wintertodt server. So just make sure that you're in the right server because you're going to have a bad time. Alright, another thing you're going to need, which I don't have right now, is an axe. So you can use any axe. So I just use my dragon axe because why not? I have it and it's a higher tier. So let's get that. Alright, so we have my dragon axe here. Alright, so let's go in here and see where the game is at. So these crates will supply everything that you need for the game mode. So I like to take 2 of the vials, and then you go over here to the sprouting roots and take 2 of these, because you don't need a lot, especially if you have the warm clothing. So you do get some herbalism XP for making these rejuvenation potions, which is nice. You can also take an axe from the crate over here. I believe it's just a bronze axe. So like I was saying, you don't need like a high tier axe. I mean, obviously you're going to cut quicker if you have a higher axe, but you know, you can bare bones it if you really need to. You can also get a hammer from over here to fix the fire pits here, the braziers. Sometimes they break, and so if they break, you can fix them. I don't bother with that. If you're looking to get like a lot of fire making XP or a lot of points, other people are going to fix it for you, so you might as well just let them do that, because it's just it saves you an inventory space, really. Some other things you're gonna need is a knife for cutting the logs into sticks, and also a tinderbox to light the fire pit in case it goes out. I would highly try to recommend doing that if it goes out, because you get a lot of fire making XP for relighting it, especially at the beginning of the game. But that's pretty much all you need for your inventory right now. Is all that. So the game is kind of already started. It's at 67% or 66%. So another thing that you're going to want to get is the plugins for this. So there should be already a Wintertodt plugin for Runelight here. And you can also get one that's called Wintertodt Idle. What it does is, that's the reason why my screen is blue. When I'm idle and I'm not doing anything, it shows blue. And then when I'm doing something like cutting the roots or making the sticks, it goes back to normal. And that's a good way to know when you're not doing something, because sometimes it's hard to tell when you're doing something or not doing something. So that's super helpful. And this Wintertodt plugin also shows over here if you're idle. It also tells you how much XP and how many points you're potentially going to get. But the normal UI for Wintertodt is in the top left-hand corner. Shows how much warmth you have and what the energy level is for Wintertodt. Once it gets to 0, the game is over, and then you have like 40 seconds to resupply, do whatever you need to do, and then you're good. It also tells you how many points you have. You have to have at least 500 points in order to get a point for the game. So I would try to strive to get that, but the method that I do, you get at least 500 to 700 points when you do it. So now we kind of just wait for the game to start at this point now. And so what you want to do is, when it gets to like 0, you want to light the brazier, and you get a ton of fire making XP right off the bat. And then you rush over to the root here and chop this away. If you have the dragon axe, you can use your special attack to boost your woodcutting level to potentially cut more of the root. So here we go. All right, so 450 right off the bat, not bad. And so as you can see, I'm cutting the root, and so my screen is back to normal. I don't know if you saw over here, there are like particles that snow falls, and if it falls on you, then that takes away your warmth as well. So see how it's like a little snowy, and then it's gonna crash snow over here. So you just need to watch out for that. All right, we are almost full inventory of the roots, and then what we want to do is come over here and start cutting away here. So see how there's snow here? I'm just going to move over a little bit just so I don't get caught. And then I'm good. And what I like to do is I like to click the knife and go in the bottom right, because it's going to go from top to bottom. So see how I stopped making the sticks? That's why I have it like that. And I like to use my rejuvenation potion when I get to 60% warmth. I feel like that's like a good way, so that way you're not wasting the potion as well. And unfortunately, the brazier doesn't warm you. You would think it would, but it doesn't. So being next to it really doesn't make a difference right now. So once we're done, we're going to start putting these sticks into the fire. All right, we are done. Let's start feeding this brazier here. Like I was saying before, these braziers also have a tendency to explode. And if they explode, you also take warmth damage, I guess it would be called. So you need to watch out for the particles overhead of the fire as well. Because if they do that, then you take a ton of warmth damage. I guess that's what it would be called in this game mode. And so I'm averaging like 287, 288 for fire making here. So we only have 22% energy left for Wintertodt. So what we want to do, or what I like to do, is when it gets down to 10 or 15%, I just cut as many roots as I can. And once it gets to that percent, I run over and try to feed the brazier. Because we're already at 625 points, so we're already getting points for the rewards. All right, so we're at 11%. Let's go and feed this fire and try to get as many points as we can. And you can also, when it goes out, you can try to light it to get more XP, but some people are faster than others. I was a bit slow there, so I was not able to do that. And the game's about to be over, and it looks like I'm about to get 700 points. There we go. Alright, so the game mode is now over. So I can use some rejuvenation potion to get back to 100%. And let's see how many points I got. So I got 2 reward points for about 700. So I have 2 reward points remaining. So looks about 705 points equals 2 reward points. So you can kind of, it's not that difficult to do this game mode. Obviously, it's not very AFK because you need to keep an eye on your warmth. It is great firemaking XP because if you saw, I got a ton of firemaking XP once the game mode was over because I got the threshold for the minimum reward points. So that's nice to have, especially when you're doing firemaking. It's a lot better than burning logs in Varric or wherever you choose to burn your logs. So another cool thing that I like to do, if say like right now, if I was to join the game and it's at like 80%, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the required points for the minimum amount of points that I need. There is an agility shortcut back here that you can do. So if you jump the gap here, you get about like 18, 17 XP sometimes for the agility. So you can jump the gap here and kind of train your agility while you're waiting for the next game. It's not like a ton of agility XP, but it's cool that it's there if I'm not trying to train woodcutting or fletching or whatever. So let's go over to the reward points and see what I can get. Alright, so I got some herbs and I got some uncut sapphires. Not bad. I like to try to go and get the Pyromancer outfit. I think that I would like a full set one day, but we'll see if I ever get there. But that is pretty much it for Wintertodt. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button below. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!